Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Well, it's another next day for the day before vlog. It is currently 1:22 p.m. And I got up about an hour and a half ago. I am so rested, you have no idea. I went to bed last night at like 11:30. And I set my alarm for 12:30 and then I just turned it off. And I slept like 12 hours and I woke up and I was like, I snoozed the alarm a couple times. It wasn't my fault, truly it wasn't. Boo Radley wanted to stay in bed. He said, Dad, can't we please stay in bed just a little bit longer? That's what I tell Alex. I'm always like, I was gonna get up earlier, but I thought that was one of the Mary-Kate and Olsen twins over there. She had a long sweater on and a baseball hat. Anyway, I always tell Alex, I'm like, I would have gotten up earlier, but Boo Radley, he just kept on wanting to sleep and sleep and sleep. So, here's the deal. I'm gonna go and get coffee right now while I'm vlogging. And then I'm gonna go to Dunkin' Donuts and do a review, and I will stop my vlog for a second. And then I'm gonna go to the post office, of which I have been meaning to go to for like the last week and a half. I have these things in here that I have to, they give me for my post office box, see, when I have things to pick up. And every time I get to the post office, the parking lot is like filled, and I'm like, I don't want to go inside and wait in line. So I just haven't been going in. I just been like going to the post office and driving right on by the post office. So today, I'm gonna go in. And then I'm gonna come home, and I'm gonna film a couple videos. I have a drama video I'm gonna film, my Peterisms video. I might do a booktube video today, depending on how long I end up vlogging right now. We'll just have to see. And then, I might do like a driving book vlog, talking about the book I'm reading and stuff. And then, yeah, and I don't know what else. Alex gets, he had to work today, so he gets done with meetings and stuff about 4-ish. And then he is going to haunted houses with, well, a haunted house with Melissa and Jason and Aaron and Eric. And then I'm meeting them afterwards at Aaron and Eric's house to do s'mores. I don't do haunted houses, they scare the hell out of me. So, yeah, I just don't do them. I like the whole idea of like going to the hayride, and I would do like a haunted hayride, but I'm not like real down for haunted houses. I never have been. Even when I was a little kid, we would go through, like the Children's Museum has a haunted house, and it's like not scary at all. But even then, I would go through with, like they have a day that you can go through and the moms, you know, take the kids through with the lights on. I would go through with the lights on, and it would still scare me so much. They have this phone number you could call back in the day. I wonder if they have it, the witch line, and you would call it, and it would like, and I would call it like 1,000 times. They gave, like the witch would come to our school, and she'd be dressed up like a witch, and she would tell us about the haunted house, like the Children's Museum, a haunted house, and then she would hand out these like flyer coupons, you know, or whatever, so that, kids could come through, you know, like with their families for cheaper or whatever. And, hold on a second, let me get this pulled up. And then they would give us a coupon, but on the coupon it would have like the witch's hotline that you could call, and it would tell you about like the haunted house. I wonder if they still have it. I bet they don't. Children's Museum haunted. Okay, here, let's see. Haunted house. Haunted house, Children's Museum. Children's Museum Guild's haunted house. Number. Let's see if it comes up. But anyway, I can remember I would sit in our porch. We had this yellow phone, and I would call it like 1,000 times. That can't be it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. would just be this witch that was cackling, and she would talk about the haunted house. I thought it was like the scariest thing ever.
Welcome to Starbucks. What can we get started for you?
Oh, hey, how are you? Can I get
I'm fine. How are you, Peter?
Good. Can I get a venti iced blonde Americano?
All right.
And I don't need anything in it. I'm trying to eat less sugar.
Oh, that sounds boring.
I know, right? But it's
only
okay.
one equal. I mean, we don't have equal anyway. Is there anything else?
What do you have? Do you have any sugar substitutes?
Yeah, I've got Splenda.
Let's do that. Give me 1.5. You convinced me.
Okay, perfect. That sounds.
Oh, and low ice on that too, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else today?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, we'll see you up here.
Okay, thanks. I haven't seen Josh since I've come through the window, like, in a week and a half, because I've been coming through, like, earlier. Oh, man. Anyway, yeah, I used to do that, like, witch's hotline. And then I remember I went through that with my mom. And even, like, going through it with my mom, like, I was terrified with the lights on. I was like, this is so scary. I don't really actually remember the last, like, scary haunted house I ever went through. I think, like, I never have. I always just say I'm not gonna go. This girl in front of me, she has all of these bumper stickers on her car. Do you ever, like, read everybody's bumper stickers? She has a heart that has Indiana, the state Indiana on it. And then it has, like, the rainbow for, like, you know, the LGBTQIA plus rainbow. And then underneath it, there's like an owl, and it says protect public education, which is a big deal in Indiana. I don't know how it is in other places, but like, it's huge here in Indiana because there's so many charter schools now. And the charter schools have waiting lists, and like if you live in Marion County, which is Indianapolis, like a lot of people don't want to send their kids to public schools because they say like it's not as good of education as charter schools or public school or private schools, which I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I went to public schools and I did just fine. And then it says Indiana Girl Gang. I don't know what that means. And then educator of the humans. She must be a school teacher in a public school. And then radiate positivity. Oh, I like that one. And then she has a little dog that has like a flower on the top of it. So, which is very nice nails. Looks like she just got them done, I can see. Pretty nails, and she's bright blue hair. I love when people do that different stuff with their hair, don't you? I think it's so fun. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
376.
How do you pronounce your name? That's so pretty.
Oh, it's Jelani.
Jelani.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, thank you. Alright, here you go.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you too.
Jelani. I'm gonna have to remember that. Isn't that such a pretty name? I love people's names. I'm always interested in why, like, parents name their kids certain names. And I think, like, first of all, I think as a writer, characters' names are so important to me. So I always, you know, think about that. Did I get all of it? Hold on. So I always think about that. But, like, when I was growing up, like, not when I was a little kid, but when I was older, I feel like my mom and I had a lot of conversations about, like, why she picked Peter instead of other names. And, like, she really thought it through. Like, my parents really thought it through. So, if I wasn't going to be a Peter, I would have been Noah. She really liked the name Noah. My mom really wanted something that had a biblical sense to it. Which is why I was Peter. My mom loved the Apostle Peter, and that he was Jesus' best friend, but that he so respected Peter that he didn't want to be the same as Peter, so when they hung him upside down. Peter also means rock of life or strength, and my mom loved the folk singer, Pete, oh, why can't I think of his name now? I'm losing my mind, I swear. Pete, oh, I can't think of his name. But anyway, It doesn't matter. I'll look it up here in a second. But my mom also thought, like, when I was younger, like, people could call me, like, you know, like Peter. And then as I got older, like in high school, like as a nickname, they could call me, like people could call me Pete. And then it was like one of those names that could go back and forth, which is so interesting because like my mom always called me Peter. And, like Alex always calls me Peter. My dad and my stepmom call me Pete, and they always have called me Pete. So like to my dad's side of the family, I'm Pete. Which is probably funny to a lot of people. Like, there's quite a few people out there that call me Pete, right? But what's interesting is, and this is only, I don't know how to say it any other way, but it's the truth. Pete Seeger was a folk singer. It's only with heterosexual men, like when they first meet me, to kind of like get in and let me know that like they're real comfortable with me, they'll call me Pete. It's very strange. It's not all of them, but it's like, I don't know, you know, like that kind of guy that's like, hey, yeah, like, what's up, Pete? You know, like, it's always like that kind of guy. And I'm like, okay, so you know me well, because I feel like to call me Pete is like, you know me well enough to call me that. Like, it's kind of how I feel about it, but whatever. Alex and my ex sometimes called me Pete because, like, Alex will say something, he'll call me Pete in reference, like if he's talking about me to somebody else, but very, very rarely. Alex actually used to call me Pemo, P-E-M-O, like, because, like, Peter Monn was, like, the stupid nickname for me. My ex called me Pete sometimes, my last ex. Tani calls me Pete sometimes, very, very rarely. Like, she'll call me Pete if she's talking about me to somebody else. Like, if she's talking to, like, her son, she'll say, oh, I'm just driving around with Pete and whatever. And, like, her son calls me Uncle Pete. I just saw him the other day. And, he was like, it was good seeing you, Uncle Pete. And then I, like, almost was going to be a Noah. Like, that was, like, kind of a last-minute decision. If I was a girl, I would have been Daisy or Phoebe. And my dad hated the name Phoebe. He used to say Phoebe. But Daisy is from The Great Gatsby. My mom loved that name. And my mom loved the character Phoebe from Catcher in the Rye. And I think of Phoebe as being such kind of like this ostentatious, you know, bougie kind of name. So it's kind of funny, you know, but like Phoebe from The Catcher in the Rye was Holden Caulfield's little sister that he meets, you know, and she's kind of like the embodiment of innocence. My mom loved her character in that book, but she's actually like, their interaction is where the title Catcher in the Rye comes from. I don't know, I just think names are interesting. And then she just loved the name Alexander, and there were a lot of different reasons for that. So, I'm actually Peter Alexander, but, which is funny, because it's like, my husband's name is Alex, you know? Well, Alex is actually Alejandro, but his whole family calls him, his family actually calls him Ali, like A-L-I, or A-L-E, I guess. It's like with, like, okay, so Carlitos, since he's like the smaller one, like the little, you know, it's like Junior, kind of. So he's like, but he's actually Carlos, but Carlitos means like little, you know. And then Sebastian, we call Sebas. But I call him Sebastian. They all call him Sebas. And then Alex's other brother, well, okay, so his brother Carlos, everybody calls Poppy, which is, his mom calls him Poppy, so I think they all do. And then, like, everybody calls Fufu. Okay, so Fufu is actually Juan Carlos, and this is Alex's other brother. Alex calls him Fufu, because of like, he named him that like as a friend of his in college had a name like that and he liked it, so, or something like, had a, like a nickname like that and he wanted to use it, and so Alex started calling him Fufu, and then his whole family calls him Tato, so I don't know what that's about. That's what they all call him. He's like really wants to go by Juan Carlos now, so I try to call him Juan Carlos as much as possible, especially since like his girlfriend really doesn't know him as Fufu, so like it's always weird for her to hear it. So I just think names are so interesting, don't you? It's 60 degrees out. Everybody has their winter coats on outside. You'd think it was like 20 degrees outside, but actually it's kind of warm. Like I'm having to turn on the air because it's kind of warm in here. Oh my God, you guys look, I have to show you. Look at this old school station wagon. I have not seen one of those since I was like growing up. That is so hilarious. So Peter, what did you do yesterday that made you so tired? Nothing. No, really, I didn't. Like, I had a good day yesterday. I've been really emotional, like, not like sad emotional, but kind of. Alex sent me this picture yesterday of Pee-Pee, and it came up like in his memories on like Facebook or something. Who was that? And it came up in his memories, like on Facebook, and he sent it to me, and he got like real sad about it. And so then I started thinking a lot about Pee-Pee, and I was like, I had left and I had come home, and so I was getting Boo and Tucker out of their house, or crate, down in the basement, and all of Pee-Pee's old costumes, well, a lot of his old costumes are on top of their old crate. Like we like have put them together like in this basket, and it's like this banana and these hats and stuff, and I've kind of wanted to use the hats on like Boo and Tucker for a video, but they almost kind of seem kind of sacred to me to just use for Pee-Pee. I know that probably sounds silly, but it just does. And I started getting like really, really sad thinking about like last year at this time. Like I can remember vlogging and talking about like, what if this was like Pee-Pee's last Halloween, which it was his last Halloween, you know, and like I started getting so sad about it, and like just even now, like thinking about it, you know, it's like I miss that little dog so much, you know, like he made my life so full. And so when Alex came home last night, we were talking a little bit about it. We both got like so crying about it and sad. I really honestly thought, you know, like I really honestly thought like I would be somebody that would like want to get another dog right away. And then I thought, well, if not right away, at least by the summer. But you know, here it is, going into October, or going into Halloween, and like, I really have no desire to get another dog. Like, not right now. I mean, I think down the road, yes. But like, right now, like, I still feel like it would be a replacement kind of thing. I just don't have any desire, you know, and, and Boo and Tucker are a lot, you know, like yesterday they were like barking like crazy, and the other day I was talking to my dad on the phone, and he was like, let me hear those little guys barking, and I was like, oh my God, Dad, they're driving me crazy today. I said they've literally been, well, they're doing this thing now, like they've done it forever, but they're like really playing lately, and I don't know what it is about, like why they're all of a sudden playing more than usual, but like one of them will stand there and the other one will charge the other one, like run and charge him, and then they'll wrestle, and it's totally playful wrestling, but like wrestling, I call it wrestling, but anyway, it kind of cracks me up, but they'll do it like all day long, And I'm like trying to like film videos and set up the ring light, and they'll like run into the ring light and stuff, and then the neighbor's dog is like in the backyard, and like he comes up on our patio, which is fine, it's whatever, you know. But like then they go crazy, and it was like that day I was trying to get some stuff done, and I was like, oh my gosh. And my dad was like, he was like, be happy that you hear them barking now. And you know, and then I immediately thought of like Pee-Pee being gone, and I was like, yep, I need to be happy that they're running around and barking and all of that kind of stuff, you know, and being grateful for all of that. I don't know, I just miss that little dude so much. Seems kind of early to be going to a haunted house, doesn't it? I know a lot of people have stuff that they do, like, closer to Halloween, you know, with, like, having get-togethers and all of that kind of stuff. So maybe that's why. Okay, listen, I'm getting ready to pull in here to Dunkin' Donuts, so I will be back in... Oh, I guess I have the stoplight, so... Well, we'll all be back here in I'll be back in, let's see, in 2, well, for you, it'll be more like 10 minutes, but I'll be back in 2 and 2. Okay, I'm back. Not the greatest review in the entire world. I reviewed the, chai latte from Dunkin' Donuts. You can go check out my review and see. I also checked out an apple donut, which I didn't finish. It's in the bottom here. Apple cider donut. But while I was driving through there was this place in there, and it was called Babushka's Deli, and I was like, Babushka, and I was like, Babushka, Babushka, and I was like, what is that song? I think it's by that, I couldn't remember Kate Bush's last name. I was like, oh, it's Kate Bush, and I was looking through like the iTunes, and so I bought that song. I used to love that song back in the day. I used to love Kate Bush, running up that hill and all that stuff. Oh, God, I loved Kate Bush back in the day. Anyway, yesterday, let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday, my troubles seem so far away. I never talk about the Beatles very often, but I was like totally raised on the Beatles. My mom was probably one of the world's biggest Beatles fans ever. Okay, yesterday, Alex had to work, and then he took his grandma on a date. He said it had been my idea. I don't remember it being my idea, but he was like, don't you remember you said, because like, you know, he always gets like real sad that his like grandma's like getting older. His grandma just turned 90. Well, I mean, older. She's older, you know, and I mean, her capacity for like, I mean, she dances, and, you know, she is always at everything that we do, and she loves to like drink a beer or a glass of wine, and she's so sweet and so cute, and just like, I don't know, she's just incredible, and her English is getting better, and I you know, there's a little bit of Spanish that I can speak, so she and I can speak a little bit now back and forth, and just, I adore her. I guess I said to him one night, you know, like, you should take your grandma out on, you know, a date, or like start taking her out like once a month, you know, and ask her stories about when she was growing up and stuff that you'll want to know. Like, you know, I said, you know, I wish, you know, I had done that with my mom more, you know, I wish I did that with my dad more. I mean, my dad and I do it, but like all the stories of my dad, like I've heard 10,000 times. Like, he's very much like me. Like, tells the same stories over and over and over again. Plus, like every holiday that we would get together when I was growing up with my dad's brothers and sisters, like, you know, they were all storytellers. So, and my dad was the youngest of 5, and so they had all these stories that they would tell about the neighborhood and all this kind of like pranks. They played pranks on each other constantly as kids, you know, and so they would tell all these stories and talk about people in the neighborhood. I mean, hilarious stories that I probably remember better, because I'll say something to my dad and he'll be like, how do you remember that? He's like, he always says I have a memory just like my aunt, his like next oldest sister, and he's like, you guys remember stuff so well. But anyway, she's the one that told me the story about the True Detective magazine and the True Crime magazine or whatever that my grandfather was in. But anyway, so Alex took his grandma last night. She got dressed up and he got dressed nice. And they went to San Giovese, which is like one of our favorite. I literally just came by the soccer field on my way here vlogging. I literally did the review in 10 minutes. That field was completely packed, and now there's not one person on the field. Like, everybody hit it like that quick. Anyway, so he took her to San Giovese, and she got like all dressed up and stuff, and they had a little date night, and she told him all kinds of stories. He just had the best time ever. He was like real emotional when he came home. He was like, I'm so thankful that you told me to do that. I said, you should do it like once a month. You should take your grandma, you know, out like once a month. I said, like, whenever he does stuff with his mom, he's always like, my mom and I are gonna meet for drinks, or we're gonna have a glass of wine somewhere, like, you know, we're gonna go out to dinner, why don't you come with us, or whatever. And I try to do it as often as possible, but like, I also, oh my God, that just came off a car. That car just literally lost its tire. Oh my God, it's like, came off, oh. Okay, they're fine. They're pulling over. These kids over here, like, they're like, oh my God, he's vlogging. I can see them. They're like looking right at me, like, as I'm filming. Anyway, so I, like, you know, that cracks me up when people realize like what I'm doing. They're like, oh, he's got a camera in his car. You know what I mean? Like, it cracks me up. I'm not very good with going out in public and like filming and holding the camera, because people will literally come up to you while you're filming and they'll be like, are you a vlogger? Like, they think you're like some super famous vlogger. I'm like, yeah, but you probably wouldn't like my videos. You know? I'm like, they're like, what are you vlogging about? Well, I'm doing a Sephora haul, you know? It's like, you probably wouldn't. It just cracks me up. But anyway, you know, with my ex, and no fault to him, he came because he was invited, but like every time I would go to my mom's house, it seemed like, unless he was, that car like came so close to hitting me, unless he was, you know, busy doing something else or whatever, he always came over there. And so like, I very rarely had a lot of like, you know, in the last, we were together 6.5 years, and my mother adored him, and they were close too. But, you know, very rarely did I have like an hour with my mom alone where we would just sit and talk because he was there. And that was fine. Like, you know, like, they loved each other and whatever. But I try to allow Alex to have time with his mom alone. Like, I think that's important, you know? Like, I don't need to be there every single time. Like, he needs to do things with his family members without me being present, so that he, you know, he has relationships with them too. So I was telling him that last night, and I was like, I'm so glad that you went on this date with your grandma. And I was like, you need to continue to do that like once a month. He was like, we had such a good time. So, you know, he left Venezuela when he was 12, and, you know, he's been gone for 30 plus years, or 20 plus years at this point, and he's only been back like once or twice, and so he doesn't remember a lot about it. And so I think for like her, like, he remembers like her apartment penthouse that she had, and that she still has over there, and you know, she remembers, he remembers like going to the beach and like certain things. I think like that's why it means so much to him to like hear these stories, because for him it's like he really wants to go back to Venezuela, and we've talked a lot about it. And like, when his aunt was visiting, we were sitting there, and he said, listen to what she says about going back to, because she had just gone to Venezuela like the month before. And she said, absolutely not. It's like super dangerous there right now. She's like, people have no idea over here how dangerous it is. And she said, and it would be super dangerous for Peter to go over there. So, you know, like, I don't know. It's just, it's not, you know. Alex's dad has been like carjacked like 3 times. Like, he had 3 different cars completely stolen from him, and they just left him like on the side of the road. Super dangerous. It's not good over there right now, you know. And I think it makes Alex sad that like he's never gonna, because he like wants to go over there and show me, you know, all these places where he grew up, and the beaches that he used to go to, and Margarita Island, and all this kind of stuff. And like, you know, he went, like, they took a trip one time and went and saw Angel Falls, And I remember when we saw that movie Up, that like, you know, really touched me emotionally because it's about the guy and he says, now go have an adventure of your own. And I remember when we saw that movie, he goes over Angel Falls and Alex was like, that's Angel Falls in Venezuela. And he really like wants to see that again, which is not, like Alex grew up in Caracas and his cousins are from Maracaibo, I think is how you pronounce it. And so he knows those two areas rather well, and like Margarita Island, which is this place that they used to go, like they would go for like 10 days at Christmas. But he wants to go back and see the places that like, you know, he grew up and that he remembers, and like the school that he went to and stuff like that. And you know, it's not. Anyway, so he went out to dinner with his grandma last night and he had a great time. And then I went and got noodles and company because I was craving pasta for the 15th time in a row. And since I was like, since I had some time to just sit there and eat, I watched the rest of, well, I started watching, I was only like 20 minutes into it, the Chris Watts documentary on Netflix. Alex actually came home for like the last half an hour and he watched the last half an hour with me. He was like really interested in it. And he doesn't know anything about the case. The documentary was good, I thought. It was nothing that I didn't already know, but I thought it was put together really, really cohesively. Can we just talk, if you've watched the documentary, like this is in the book, and I've seen the parts before, but the woman that does the lie detector test, so he takes his lie detector test and he fails it miserably. They go into more detail in the book about it, the John Glatt book, The Perfect Father. But she's actually a famous lie detector officer. And I guess there's people that do lie detector tests, and then there's like officers that work for like the FBI and the police department that like that's specifically all they do, and that's what she does. So she's also like a police officer. And there was another case in Colorado, I think, where this like teenager killed another teenager, and she was the one that did the lie detector test, and the results, like in how she, it was so interesting because like they kind of talked about it in the book, but you could see the process wasn't just about the lie detector test. It was about the process of sitting there and having this conversation with him and really like interrogating him to some degree. She's very compassionate to him, which I thought was interesting, like in how she treated the whole situation. Before she goes into it, and they said this in the book too, but she says she was so good. Like they showed the whole clip of the lie detector test in the documentary, and I was just blown away. And she says to him, you know, you would be really stupid to take this test if you did something. And he was like, yeah, I know. And she's like, no, do you know? She was like, because in like right now, only one person in this room knows the truth, but in 5 minutes, 2 people are gonna know the truth. And he just kind of looks at her and she's like, so if there's anything that you need to say. And so like he takes his test and he fails it miserably. She doesn't tell him like while she's going through it. She like tells him afterwards. She pulls in the other guy, which I'm sitting there watching it like as it's happening, and I'm like, no one knows what this person is capable of. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy is crazy, okay? Like, he could have stood up and just snapped her neck. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, I mean, like, he literally just killed his wife and 2 little girls, which just all of the video clips of the little girls, and also him bringing attention. There were 2 separate occasions in the documentary where he talked about their favorite blankies and that they didn't leave the house without their favorite blankies. And then he smothers them with their favorite blankies. I don't know. Like, I was talking to my dad about that the other day. I don't know why that part is so hard for me to wrap my head around. Like, when I was a little kid, I had this stuffed animal and it was called Yellow Dog. I still have it, actually. And, it was this big, like, stuffed yellow dog that one of my grandma's friends, like, made for me. She, like, crocheted it, and it had all this stuffing inside of it. Well, I would apparently carry it with me everywhere. Well, one Sunday, like, at church, like, it dropped out of the car, and I went crazy, like, that I left it outside of the car, and I couldn't find it and whatever. And my dad went back the next Monday, and he was like, it's never gonna be there. Well, it had rained and all this kind of stuff the night before. And he found it, and it had been like ran over by cars like 50 times, and it was like in the ditch, and it was like none of the stuffing was in it anymore. If you see it now, it's like a pancake. It's so funny. And I carried this thing with me afterwards, like for the next like 4 years of my life. But I was saying to my dad, because like Yellow Dog was like this thing that like meant so much to me when I was growing up, and it was like my dad, like, you know, and my mom, they knew that like I never went anywhere without Yellow Dog. I also like sucked my thumb and like used ace bandages, I would go like I don't know where the ace bandage thing started, probably because my dad always had them in his car, you know, but as being a doctor, but like I didn't go anywhere without this yellow dog thing. And I said to my dad, I said, can you imagine? That would be like you like smothering me by stuffing yellow dog down my throat. Like, can you even imagine? Like, it's so beyond to me, you know? It's just like, I don't know why that symbolism, like I have such a hard time with it. But anyway, so then the way that they handle the lie detector test, and they're like, we're kind of like past the results at this point. It's kind of like we need to talk about like what really happened and where they're at. And the whole way they approach him is so interesting. They're like, you don't want somebody else to find them, you know, don't you want them to be like brought in, and like they're talking to him as if they're still alive, even though they know that they're not alive. Very like interesting. And in the book, they actually go into a lot of detail about this that they don't show in the documentary. A lot of detail. When if you've watched the documentary, the investigator says, we need to talk about the two Chris's. Well, that's like how they break him down. They make it seem like they break him down by bringing his dad in, which is actually a big part of it too. They feed him this solution of that Shanann supposedly killed her daughters, which later he recants that story to the FBI agents. They don't show that in the documentary, but later at the very end of the book, these two FBI agents that have been like on the case the whole time, they go to visit him in prison like a year later or like 6 months later or something. And he tells them exactly what happened. He tells them that, you know, he put the girls in the car and they were like, you know, they drove out and then he smothered each of them. He tells the whole case. I think they maybe talked a little bit about that. And did they show that part in the documentary? Maybe that was at the very end of the documentary. I was like talking through it because I was trying to explain to Alex the case. I feel like they did. They addressed it at the end because he said, well, if they didn't, then they showed, somebody was talking about it because they showed about the part where Cece was killed first and then Bella watched. I think it was Cece that was killed first. I can't remember. It's so tragic. But anyway, I thought the documentary was good. I thought the documentary was good if you didn't know anything about the case. If you know everything about the case, it's just kind of like a refresher course on it. But I would say that all of the pieces are more cohesive, like put together. Like it makes more sense, like when you watch the documentary. One of the big parts that they have in there is Shanann's friend, Nicole, who Bailey Sarian refers to as the good Nicole. They have like a lot of video footage of her, like when she shows up to the house, the police investigator and all that kind of stuff. They have a lot of that footage. And then, because they talk about it in the book, like she and her son show up. And they like have all of that footage in there. And then they have the footage where Chris shows up to the house and he lets them in. There's just like this, it's just so weird. Like he's like, holds up their rings. He's got her rings. He's got them like on his hand and he's like, her rings. Oh, there's her phone. Like, it's just like so obvious. Like in retrospect, knowing what you know, like watching all the scenes. I mean, you know, hindsight's 20/20, but like when watching it, it's like, he was absolutely so obvious about everything, you know? I don't know, it's so creepy. It really makes you think, like, it could be anybody that you know. Like, literally anybody, you know? And they could completely just... Why not get out of the relationship and divorce her? Why, I don't know, that's what I don't understand. And they even said that, like in the, like when the prosecutor did his like closing statement, like he even said that, like why not just divorce her and leave these three people alive? They showed the interrogation or the interview, not interrogation, but the interview of the Nicole, who Bailey Sarian calls the bad Nicole, the girlfriend, who I am just not convinced was not more involved in all of this and didn't know more of what was going on. I don't know. I just like... And it was interesting because the police officer said, I think that you killed the girls and then Shanann showed up and you killed them. And that's like a conspiracy theory that's been out there a lot, is that the girls were dead when Shanann showed up. You know, like whenever I would go out to like Fox Hollow Farms and I would drive by it, it always creeps me out. Like even when I'm vlogging there at night, like I still think this sometimes, like this is the last road that these 29 plus men ever saw, right? Like this was the last time they were like ever out in public, you know? Like I don't know why that freaks me out. They show that scene of Shanann, like in everything you watch, like not just this documentary, but every documentary. That scene where her friend Nicole drops her off and she walks up to the door at 2 a.m. and she's getting inside. I think it was like 1:48 a.m. actually. She like, they show that scene in everything that you see where she walks up to the door and she goes inside. Like every documentary, everything you see, they show that in there. And it just is like, it makes, like, nobody is ever gonna know what happened from that moment on, like in that house. Like people have speculated that the girlfriend was there. You know, people have speculated the little girls were already dead. And that, I don't know. I just think there are some things you'll never know in the world. You know, like the JonBenet Ramsey case. I still wonder about that. Like, that is probably one of the cases, like, I am, in all honesty, like, the most intrigued by. And I really don't think that we're ever going to know anything about the JonBenet Ramsey case. I honestly thought when that mother passed away, which is so sad, right, that she passed away, but I thought maybe it really was like a family secret cover-up, and I thought maybe she would write some letter, something, you know, and saying, I have to get this off my chest before I die. I thought something like that maybe, you know, like, that there might be something that came out later, but nothing, you know, there's nothing about what really happened. So weird. Did the JonBenet Ramsey thing happen like in 1990? I feel like it happened around the time that I graduated from high school. So she'd be like in her 30s now. It's so weird, isn't it, to think that? So sad. I just can't believe that nobody knows anything about that case. Nobody knows what happened. Talk about conspiracies. There's all kinds of conspiracies about that. About what happened with that case. There's some like really weird, like Illuminati kind of conspiracies about all of that. You know, and then if you watch, or if you read like a lot of true crime or listen to the podcast or watch these shows, the reality is, the true story is often and typically a lot more simple than people think that it's going to be. It's not some deep, you know, planned thing. It's like, it happens, you know? It's like with this Chris Watts case. I mean, he killed his family. It's not like he went to this like deep planning of it. I had to stop it because I like went in and started talking about a friend of mine that she and I were talking about this case, and so she's a friend of mine that I don't talk about in videos. So anyway, but you know, like, you know, when we look at these cases, like, in thinking about them being like very, very simple, there's not like often this mastermind plan to it. There just isn't, you know? And so then it's interesting that like many of these people, like, I don't know, like the JonBenet Ramsey thing, I can't believe we don't know anything about that. Like nothing. I'm just, you know, and like the Zodiac killer to this day, like there's, you know, which the Zodiac killer today would be like, you know, in his or her 80s, which I think has pretty much been proven that it has to be a man. But I think like, do I think we'll ever know? Yeah, I do think we'll know. I think with DNA testing and, you know, all of these different, like, what is it called? 2-in-1 and Ancestry and all those kinds of things and those DNA tests, I think that eventually, whether it's 20 or 50 years down the road, you know, we'll know exactly who the Zodiac killer was. Or maybe they'll leave a letter or something, you know, when they die. But does it surprise anybody that Like when these people like, I mean, some major serial killer has had to have died already, right? And had to have like, I mean, to some degree, the fact that they were able to never, like, you know, they were able to get away with it has to make you think that they were ego-driven to some degree, that they haven't left, like, a letter or something, you know, in a post office box or something, not post office box, but like a, what's it called at a bank, a safety deposit box or whatever, you know, saying, like, this is what I did and detailing it and proving it, like, it's really strange to me that we've never seen that happen. Like, has that happened and I'm not aware of it? I was actually talking to the same friend, and we were talking about the case. She brought it up. I've never heard of this case, about the Watcher. And it was about this family that got like all of these like weird letters and stuff. Do you guys know about this? And they were like threatened to leave this house, and if they didn't leave this house, she sent me like all the articles and stuff on it. I have to read it. If they didn't leave the house, and like they were all gonna be murdered or something like that. It was like so creepy. I don't know much about it. The post office is not super packed, so I'm gonna go in here. Oh my god, my battery is dying. Well, I can change my battery when I get in here too. Dream. Such a pretty fall day. I think the post office is open till 3. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go in here and I will be back in just a moment. Okay, I'm back. I am like so emotionally moved right now, you guys. You have no idea. So I got a bunch of packages. I had like 4 packages total. Well, 2 in my mailbox and then 2 that I was sent. And I got this box, and it was from, I've been looking for a new hat anyway, because I've been wearing this silver fox hat forever. And I love the Gorn hats. They like fit my head perfectly. I love trucker hats, and it's hard for me to find trucker hats that really fit my head, and to order them online, I never know, but the Gorn hats always fit my head. I wear their hats, and they sent me a hat or something, which like that rarely ever happens. And I was like, or was somebody like, what happened? Like, I opened it, and I like looked at the hat before. There was like a card inside, and I opened it, and I saw the hat, and I just was like, I just like literally like lost it, especially after what I was just talking about earlier today on here. You guys have no idea, like, I probably share too much of my life on YouTube, but you know, I really don't care, honestly. Like, I feel so incredibly blessed to have the life that I have, and to be able to make the videos that I do, and that people respond to them in the way that they do. And, you know, like, you know, there's a saying in recovery that if you don't think your home group is the best group in the entire world, go find another home group. And I don't have 1 million subscribers, and I probably never will, and I don't really care. But I think that my viewers are the best viewers in the entire world. And if you don't think that your viewers are the best viewers in the entire world, get yourself some new viewers. And I think I'm going to share that in my other videos today too. But I got this letter from Amy that was like so incredibly kind. And then she said that she bought a plain hat from Gorn Brothers. Here, it's black, and I'm going to take the inside out because I want to wear this. And she had this guy on Etsy make the patch for me, and it's a picture of a peepee. It's like a perfect picture of peepee, and it says Bachelor underneath it, because peepee and I, you know, I always used to sing that song, like, it's Peepee and Peter's Bachelor Weekend. And it fits perfectly, absolutely perfectly. I'm gonna make sure that I know what this guy's name is, because she said she had this guy on Etsy make the patch for me, and he did like such a fantastic job. It's like literally a peepee. The Embroidery Dad. His shop name is called The Embroidery Dad. He did, like, I just want, do you see it? He just did such a fantastic job. It's literally pee-pee. So I guess I got my new hat, and I think things sometimes happen the way that they're supposed to happen. I don't know. And I know, like, I'm crying probably because people think I'm sad, but I'm like so overwhelmed with joy in this moment. Like, this just really, like, this is what I needed today, and I really, really appreciate it, Amy. Thank you so much. And in kind of some weird way, you know, it makes me think, like, I don't know, PP knows I'm up there and I'm thinking about him today, you know? Anyway. All right, you guys, listen, I think I'm gonna end this now. A lot of people have been asking me to do a longer outro, which I'm gonna go back and forth when doing a longer outro, but today I'm just gonna do it short because I wanna go home and film some other videos, and I think right now I just wanna kind of listen to some music as I drive home. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you. Amy, the hat is incredible. I will show you guys the other things that I got in my next vlog or a couple other vlogs. So anyway, thank you guys so much. I love you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope you're having an amazing day, and if you're not, start your day over and do something, because we're only here for a few days, and you know, if we're not having the best days, we should be fighting for them, right? And do something nice for somebody else. Remember, you can start your day over whenever you want. I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching. Bye. Love ya!